as we brought last week to a close, basically on Friday. Friday. Yeah, it's been just a really, really busy time lately. Cancer. The sun moved into the sign of Cancer on the 20th, the summer solstice. The sun stood still, longest Sunday for the northern hemisphere of the year. Now, what else can we say about Cancer? Technically, the month ahead is a Cancer month. And so what all kind of energies does Cancer represent? It represents mom. It represents our capacity to feel things. It's home, it's roots, it's the ancestral realm. Our connection to, this place that we really resonate well with. And because it is Cancer, we must absolutely require to look at what is the moon doing as this particular Cancer cycle is initiated. And that's no matter what the sign is, you really want to look at the planet that is the ruler for that sign. Well, Cancer on Friday, just as the season of Cancer began, was just entering into Taurus, real early degrees of Taurus. And Taurus, amongst other things, is the capacity to tune into Mother Earth, to that resource base that often we take for granted. Quite unfortunate that we do that. But I was drawn this morning to choose a card from the Mystical Oracle deck. Just, every once in a while you get that whim or that whiff of air that just, tickles your nostrils with a certain smell or whatever, and you need to do something about it. Well, the card that I drew for this particular day, this particular consideration, is Pachamama. What is Pachamama? Well, it's kind of an alien term to a lot of us, but Pachamama is Mother Earth. It's Gaia. It is that zone of enfoldment that this energetic planet that we live on and provides us with the physical elements of what it means to be a human being walking around on the planet all comes from Mother Earth. And so Pachamama really fits in well with the consideration of this season ahead, this Cancer season ahead. How are you going to feel as things are brought up for you? And oftentimes people forget that Cancer is one of the cardinal signs. And while we may have, those robust feelings of what it means to tune into the substance of Mother, we must never forget this cardinal quality, always present when Cancer and the moon are brought up for our considerations. And all the cardinal signs, these are impulses, strong and very dynamic quadrants of the chart are initiated at every cardinal sign. And there is a robust strength always in play when a cardinal sign is at the fore. And so, while you may have appreciation for the mother's substance, don't ever forget that mom is a force. That is something that you need to basically embrace with everything that you've got and recognize that whatever level that you're looking at mom from, whether it's the mom that's taking care of the kids or Pachamama, Mother Earth, taking care of this planet, and she requires our participation in the tending of this garden planet. Always. The kind of energy that you don't want to just kind of shine on as if it's irrelevant. No, the cardinal quality of this sign demands participation at a level that is going to require all of you. And so, welcome to the Cancer season, and happy birthday to all those born at this particular time of year. Here's the chart for today. Yeah, the weekend was so friggin' busy that there was just no way I was going to be able to sit down and chatter away. So, we begin the week today, and let's look real quick here. I had a feeling that, the moon is out of bounds. Irony of ironies. While we're looking at this lunar dance that we've been invited to participate in, is it any surprise that the moon would be out of bounds while we're considering the moon? Perhaps not. So, what else is going on here today? We are in this yod formation where Pluto is the apex of a yod. A yod, often referred to as the finger of God, I talked a little bit about this last week, is two 150-degree aspects pointing to a particular planet, which is the apex, Pluto in this case, and the other two planets, all at 3 degrees, by the way, are in a sextile, 60 degrees from one another. And when planets are at 60 degrees, that means that they're in elements that actually work well together, which is, the air and fire signs work really well together. The water and earth signs work really well together. So here we have Jupiter in water, Mars in earth, and, just for a little extra, what should we call it? Uptick in the energy quality? The sun sitting right here with that Jupiter, and the sextile aspect, these are planets that, they're really in a tight configuration of harmony, trying to facilitate a Jupiterian expansive quality with that solar vitality, tied in with it. And Mars, a driving kind of energy in Virgo, is saying, there's are things that I sense need to be ironed out if there are complexities that are seemingly trying to confuse the direction that you're going in, that a Virgo really, really might feel a little uncomfortable with. But we're talking Mars and Jupiter. This is a kind of a tailwind energy of substance that's trying to iron out differences, bringing in that, connection. The Cancer connection to all of life. Pachamama's on board. Remember, Mother Earth is tapping us on the shoulders, if you will, trying to wake us up if we've, dozed off, and remind us of our responsibility that we have in tending and keeping this garden. Now, finger of God, Yod, brought to focus for those two energies is in that Pluto up there at 3 degrees of Aquarius. And Aquarius always brings in this energy of, who are the willing participants that are being drawn together. This is Aquarian energy to accomplish something. And because it's Pluto that's actually sitting there trying to, facilitate this accomplishment, it's highly likely that to paint that picture as something really comfortable would be an error. Because Pluto is not interested in comfort. It's Pluto, Hades, the lord of the underworld. So you can kind of sense the possibilities that, perhaps there are things afoot right now that are going to be less than comfortable to deal with at the group or collective level. And, that's not hard to see just looking at what's going on the planet these days. Particularly over the weekend. Oh my gosh. Sometimes you wonder what on earth is going on. Well, it's what on humans is going on, because the earth is probably doing just fine. It's us human beings where the discomforts are created amongst each other. Anyway, that's Monday. Welcome to Cancer. And as we're doing this, let's bounce ahead. We got our moon. Yeah, it's out of bounds, so always when planets are out of bounds, they have a tendency to run a little bit more toward the wild side. There's a unpredictability factor in the mix. Well, we humans can often be a rather unpredictable sort. And what is transpiring these days, unpredictability seems to be quite near the surface as far as, what is going to transpire. What exactly were you expecting with the situations on planet Earth right now? And moon, how you feel that running currently in Gemini is, it's spinning questions, curiosities, a desire to, really look at all the details and, try and, see if there's a path forward that we haven't been on before, because Gemini's always look for something new to investigate, because Gemini is about wanting to learn something. And that's where the moon is as this week begins. Our curiosities, they're being kicked up. And we should be asking some rather dynamic questions right now, because things are being stirred just a little bit more vigorously than we might feel comfortable with. So, moon's still going to be out of bounds on Tuesday, as the sun and Jupiter are holding hands right here at 3 degrees of Cancer. Let's just look up that Sabian symbol, see what this is. A cat arguing with a mouse. This draws up, visions of Walt Disney, Disneyland, Tom and Jerry. Always somehow seeming to not get along and, tickle each other's discomfort levels. And a keynote for this, an attempt at self-justification. And you can kind of see in the Tom and Jerry stories that both of them are absolutely correct in their assumptions about the importance that they play in any kind of a situation, then you might kind of sense that there's some of that energy afoot right now, in particularly the political level of what's transpiring on our planet. And by the way, Tuesday is a Mars day, and so you can kind of see, or maybe perhaps sense, that impulsive drive toward what? A warrior context is definitely in play. That is Mars. And we're talking Tuesday, a Mars day. Wednesday comes along, a Mercurial day. What are you thinking? Well, as you're thinking about this Wednesday dance, we have a new moon that transpires at 4 degrees of Cancer. And the Sabian symbol for that, this Sabian symbols they're kind of consider them like a tone being sounded that some will tune into, others not. That's not the key. The key is, what are you doing? Are you tuned into it? Because there's a message in the Sabian symbols that is, it's inviting you to wake up to factors that are afoot that could be very relevant too. And this is new moon we're talking about. Always a time to set in motion. What is it that I want to accomplish during this next lunar cycle? That's always what the new moon is about. And the Sabian symbol for this one reads, at a railroad crossing, an automobile is wrecked by a train. Now that's a heck of an image. You might almost sense that there are some potential train wrecks that are afoot. The keynote, the tragic results which are likely to occur when the individual's will pits itself carelessly against the power of the collective will of society. Picture, if you will, what does the car represent? It represents the individual's ability to do whatever they want, go wherever they want, whenever they want. The train, on the other hand, is used by a bunch of folks to get from point A to point B together. You can kind of sense a collectiveness in that train's thing. And a train's energy, it's basically on a track. It can't veer one way or the other like a car can. Its function is to move people from place A to place B. And that is the collective, that the individual who somehow managed to take a chance, most likely, driven by what? A Mars Sun kind of energy that is saying, I can make it. And sometimes it works out, sometimes not so much. And that's the difference between the individual and the collective when they meet. And there's just a wee bit of, what shall we call it? Chances that the individual is pitting itself against the collective. And that's the energy that we want to keep in mind as we're setting our goals for what it is that this next lunar cycle is going to be about for us. Are we tuned into our roots, that Cancerian quality of really grasping our connection to this planet that we live on. Is your home just a separate little box sitting out there somewhere on the prairies of life? Or do you recognize that the root structure of who you are, of what home means, is really the entire planetary being that supports us? Your call. But I guarantee you, the larger perspective that you have, the more in tune you will be to really an enormity of presence that each of us represents. When we can get out of our own ways and see our connection to, as in that Sabian symbol, the collective, and not the individual playing chicken with a train. All kinds of things, busy things. On this day, Thursday, a Jupiter day, Mercury and the Moon, they're both going to shift from the latter degrees of Cancer into Leo. And when planets shift from one sign to the next, it's like changing hats. You've decided to, go do something, but in order to facilitate this appropriately, the energy surround that you're going to find yourself in, Cancer's surround versus Leo surround, they are not the same. Cancer is, feeling hopefully comfortable within your own skin and home. And Leo is a fire sign, water, fire. The fire quality of Leo is kind of like, wouldn't it be a great idea to go do a fire walk across those hot coals and something? There's some kind of Leonian Martian fire energy, and Mercury, our curiosity tool, just steps across that plane with the Moon saying, I want to take a chance. Leo's about gambling, taking those chances. There's an invitation that, you might pick up on that, inspires our mercurial side to say, where else? What else? Why else am I going to do something? I want to make an impression. Leo's ruled by the sun. It's not something that's minor and small and, really enjoys living in the background. Oh, no, not. It's Leo, the lion, king of the beasts. There's a dance that's being invited here on this Thursday to put on a different hat, be bigger. And let's just go through to the rest of the week. As we get ready for the weekend, we have this Moon has already gone by this opposition to Pluto. Mercury is moving up on it, but it actually will get there on, looks like Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. Let's take this Leo Aquarian axis. Yeah, we're still in the sign of Cancer. That's like a over, if you're listening to music, that's the overtone of what is transpiring as we go through this month. But we got this Leo dance going on here at the same time. And after all, it is the Moon we're talking about that has just entered this Leo part of the dance, and the Moon is our ruler for the month. You might feel an uptick of energy, and Mercury jumping right into Leo at the same time and getting ready to move into an exact opposition with Pluto over there in Aquarius. There's a a potential for some rather deep and profound, life changing, if you will, considerations that are asking us to pay attention quite particularly to what is the group energy. Remember our Sabian symbol with the train versus the car? Well, the group on the train could easily be that Aquarian kind of energy that, from a Plutonian perspective, is saying, change or die. Oh, well, that's not really a minor thought. Remember, we are in a cardinal sign, Cancer, and mom can be quite fierce. And if the collective is set on doing things that are destructive, you can kind of sense that Plutonian, energy of, things are going to have to die. Well, that happens all the time. That is how life works. You just have to ask yourself, are you willing to allow aspects of what you understand yourself to be to pass away? Die? That's kind of a harsh term that people they shy away from. It's like, no, I don't want to talk about death. And yet, death comes tapping on your shoulder, and what does it say if you're really listening well? It says, by the way, are you alive? Because I, as death, have come to remind you that I am just a transitional experience. And if you're so focused on me, you're missing out on the quality of being alive, being adventurous. The experimentation of tapping into what might be just a little beyond your comfort zone, but sitting there as an invitation to wake you up to what does it mean to actually be alive in this moment. Mercury, opposing that, is saying, it's asking questions. Are you alive? Or are you so focused on dying that you miss out on the life, the experience, the delight of actually breathing in, breathing with Mother Earth, and enjoying your camaraderie with her? I think I probably talked all the way through the weekend there. That pretty much wraps up all the astrology that I can see that might be relevant for everybody to pay attention to. And remember, this is a week where there's a new moon, and we are being invited on this day, the very last day of it being out of bounds, to take chances. Set in motion, your connective capacities. But don't forget, there is a fierceness underlying what it is that we are about. What does home really mean to you? How big or how small are your prerogatives? That's all I got for this week. Enjoy, and happy birthday to all you Cancers out there.